was private. You don't even need to know what we were talking about. Hopefully that microphone wasn't on when I was over here. Because I was cussing. I was over here cussing at the kids. I was cussing loud. All right. Hey, listen. There was probably a plan for this. But now that I see that my most bestest half is here, we're going to go ahead on and get started, okay? What I want to tell you, Kirsten, please join me here so that you can hand this thing off to Justin. Listen, we're going to talk a little bit of the change of command, but we got troops on the field right now. So I'm going to suffice it to say, Martine kids worked at Cybercom, AFES, and for the out at Leavenworth in Kansas, right? Yeah, I defy you to find somebody else who's done that. She's done phenomenal. Justin's a former Marine. I defy you to find another spouse who's a former Marine that lives in the circle over there and is on the field here today.
You got 20 minutes. Go ahead and go.
Okay. Having said that, we'll talk again when we give out when we change colors and do this ceremony. But without further ado, attention to orders.
Attention to orders. The Legion of Merit is awarded to Brigadier General Kidd for exceptional meritorious service as a commanding general of the 593rd Expeditionary Sustainment Command, Joint Base Lewis McChord, Washington, from 14 May 2021 to 24 May 2023. Brigadier General Kidd's selfless dedication and devotion to mission success, leader development, and improving systems and practices across the Expeditionary Sustainment Command and Joint Base Lewis McChord has increased readiness at every echelon. Brigadier General Kidd's performance is in keeping with the finest traditions of military service and reflects great credit upon her, the United States Forces Command, and the United States Army. Signed, Andrew P. Pappas, U.S. Army, Commanding. The Meritorious Public Service Award is awarded to Dr. Justin Kidd for providing outstanding service to the soldiers and families of the 593rd Expeditionary Sustainment Command. Dr. Kidd's efforts greatly contributed to the morale, welfare, and family readiness for the entire command. His dedication and selfless service are in keeping with the finest traditions of military service and reflects distinct credit upon himself, the 593rd Expeditionary Sustainment Command, America's First Corps, and the United States Army. Signed, Xavier T. Brunson, Lieutenant General, U.S. Army, Commanding.
Team Brunson. Team Brunson. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, just briefly, today's a real special day for Justin and I. A hard day, hard to leave command, but we're grateful to have been part of this wonderful community amongst these terrific soldiers, with the community leaders and supporters of First Corps and Joint Base Lewis McChord, and more importantly, the opportunity to lead these fabulous soldiers that are on the field. So thanks very much for coming.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to today's Change of Command. Today, Brigadier General Martine S. Kidd will officially relinquish command of the 593rd Expeditionary Sustainment Command to Colonel Kevin L. Kottman. On the field before you are the units participating in today's ceremony. From left to right, Headquarters and Headquarters Company, 593rd Expeditionary Sustainment Command, commanded by Captain Jamin Wilmy and Company First Sergeant Michael Lewis. 62nd Medical Brigade, commanded by Colonel Robert Heath and Command Sergeant Major Jesus Gonzalez. Headquarters and Headquarters Company, 62nd Medical Brigade, commanded by Captain Elizabeth Canaway and First Sergeant Nathan Hunsacker. 29th Hospital Center, 62nd Medical Brigade, commanded by Colonel Mark Jacks and Command Sergeant Major Joseph Franco. 147th Field Hospital, 62nd Medical Brigade, commanded by Lieutenant Colonel Melissa Francis Cheney and Sergeant Major Michael Tattoo. 56th Multifunctional Medical Battalion, 62nd Medical Brigade, commanded by Lieutenant Colonel Chad Hanley and Command Sergeant Major Angela Cox. 13th Combat Sustainment Support Battalion, commanded by Lieutenant Colonel Jeffrey Buckner and Command Sergeant Major Errol Brooks. 53rd Transportation Battalion, commanded by Lieutenant Colonel Melinda Acuna and Command Sergeant Major Edgar Zavala. The 593rd Expeditionary Sustainment Command and Joint Base Lewis McChord would like to recognize our distinguished guests for today's ceremony. Please hold your applause until the end. Lieutenant General Xavier Brunson and Mrs. Kirsten Brunson, the Lacey City Mayor Andy Ryder, Lakewood City Manager John Caulfield, Miss Amy T. Meyer, Lacey Amtrak Station President Mr. William Jackson, Major General Stephen Smith and his spouse Mrs. Lynn Smith, Major General Retired Ken Farmer and his spouse Mrs. Pat Farmer, Major General Retired James Taylor and his spouse Mrs. Sally Taylor, Brigadier General William Ryan and his spouse Mrs. Lori Ryan, Brigadier General Retired Hurt Hardin, Brigadier General Retired Oscar Hillman and his spouse Mrs. Patty Hillman, Colonel Brandon Teague, Colonel Philip Lamb and Mrs. Tori Lamb. A warm welcome to all commanders, command sergeants, majors, family members, community members, soldiers, and civilians in attendance today. We also welcome Brigadier General Kidd's sister, Marlette Wallabeck, and her husband, Thomas. Thank you for attending today's ceremony. And finally, we also want to welcome Colonel Cotman's parents, Mrs. Consuela Williams and Mr. Clinton Williams, who are watching today via social media, and a surprise, his sister, Dr. Pamela Baldwin, who joins us here today at the ceremony. Please give a round of applause for all of our distinguished guests. The reviewing officer for today's ceremony is Lieutenant General Xavier T. Brunson, Commanding General for America's 1st Corps and Joint Base Lewis McChord. The host commander is Brigadier General Martine S. Kidd, Commanding General of the 593rd Expeditionary Sustainment Command. The commander of troops for today's ceremony is Colonel Jason P. Affolder, Deputy Commanding Officer for 593rd ESC. Music today is provided by America's 1st Corps Band, the heartbeat of America's Corps. America's 1st Corps Band is commanded by CW3 Charles A. Doswell, and the drum major is Staff Sergeant Joseph Akasinski. The salute battery is from Bravo Battery, 1st Battalion, 3rd Field Artillery Regiment, and is under the direction of 1st Lieutenant Nick Gazarian. And the NCO in charge is Staff Sergeant Anthony Graham. The color guard are from the 593rd Expeditionary Sustainment Command, brigade and battalion soldiers under the direction of the 593rd ESC Command Sergeant Major Terrence T. Scarborough. Please direct your attention to the VIP seating area. At this time, Sergeant Tristan Santee, the 593rd ESC Non-Commissioned Officer of the Year, assigned to 53rd Transportation Battalion, is presenting a gift to Dr. Justin Kidd as a token of appreciation from the soldiers of 593rd ESC for his support to the organization over the last 2 years. At this time, Private First Class Brian Nahara, the 593rd ESC Soldier of the Year, assigned to 29th Hospital Center, is presenting yellow budding roses to Mrs. Carrie Cotman. The yellow color is a sign of welcome, and the budding flowers are in anticipation of things to come. Sergeant First Class Martin Hernandez and Sergeant First Class Exanadia Fairley of the 62nd Medical Brigade, 593rd ESC, 1st Corps Sergeant Audie Murphy Club are presenting gifts to Colonel Cotman and Mrs. Cotman's children, Isaiah and Dominic, as they prepare to start a new journey here at Joint Base Lewis McChord together with their parents. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the invocation given by the 593rd Expeditionary Sustainment Command Chaplain, Lieutenant Colonel Daniel A. Chase.
Let us pray. Father in heaven, we're grateful this morning for the opportunity of meeting as soldiers, as citizens, and as champions of freedom to witness the passing of the leadership mantle. We thank thee, Father, for Brigadier General Kidd, whose love of God and country inspired her to accept the heavy burden of command. We're ever grateful for her friendship, her counsel, encouragement, and love. And we're grateful for Dr. Kidd, who has stood valiantly at her side, lifting heavy hands and strengthening feeble knees. We pray that the memories made and the friendships built will sustain them in their continued service. We pray now for Colonel Cotman as he raises the guidon today, and grant him the vision, wisdom, and confidence to lead this formation in securing the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity. Give him a double portion of the Spirit so that they may continue to inspire soldiers to excellence and carry on the traditions of this exemplary unit. For all these things we humbly pray. Amen.
Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. In just a moment, you will hear the 593rd Adjutant direct the bugler to sound attention as today's ceremony begins.
Sound attention! Sound adjutant call! Sound parade rest!
Throughout history, commanders have used music to raise morale and esprit de corps of their soldiers before battle with patriotic songs and stirring marches. Today, that is still symbolized in ceremonies such as this, as America's 1st Corps Band prepares to play music in front of the soldiers of the 593rd Expeditionary Sustainment Command. Ladies and gentlemen, please direct your attention to the heartbeat of America's 1st Corps, America's 1st Corps Band, as they execute Sound Off.
Sound off! Instrument! Sound off!
The playing of Sound Off originated during the Crusades. Troops offering themselves for battle were drawn up in a long formation, while the band countermarched before them to honor those soldiers chosen to serve. The baldric, the large ceremonial belt worn over the shoulder of the drum major, is the band's set of colors on the parade field and displays America's 1st Corps campaign credits. In the days before radio communication, the band played a major role on the field of combat. In the heat of battle, when voice commands were difficult to hear, the mace carried by the drum major was used to relay commands to the band, who in turn relayed the commands musically to the soldiers. Constituted in October of 1943 in Sicily as the 9th Infantry Division Band, America's 1st Corps Band has earned 12 campaign participation streamers from World War II and the Korean War. America's 1st Corps Band performs not only for military and social functions on Joint Base Lewis McChord, but also provides musical support throughout the Pacific Northwest and around the world. Proud to serve as America's 1st Corps musical ambassadors, band soldiers stand ready to deploy, fight, and win. Ladies and gentlemen, the history of the 593rd Expeditionary Sustainment Command can be found in your program. Now taking their positions is the Commander of Troops for today's Change of Command ceremony and ESC staff.
Sound, present, arms. Sir, command's form. Take your post. Down, order, arms.
Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the arrival of the official party and honors. Honors authorized for Lieutenant General Brunson are being deferred to Brigadier General Kidd.
Sound, present, arms. Down, order, arms.
Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated.
Down, officers in colors. Enter, march.
The brigade and battalion colors you see moving forward symbolize the very soul of the United States and the 593rd ESC. They are a visible record of the glories of the past. They stand as a guardian over the present and serve to inspire in soldiers the loyalty, duty, and courage to achieve victory in the future. In the past, the colors served as a rallying point for soldiers during the smoke and fog of battle. Today, the colors are a symbol of the unit and accompany the commander wherever they may go.
Sir, the officers in colors are present. Present the command. Sound, present, arms. Detachment,
Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the playing of the national anthem. Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated.
Detachment, order, march. Down, order arms, and parade rest. Detachment, parade, rest.
The Change of Command ceremony is a simple, traditional event that is rich with symbolism and heritage. The key to the ceremony is the passing of the unit colors. These colors represent not only the heritage and history of the unit, but also the unity and loyalty of its soldiers. The colors are the commander's symbol of authority, representing his responsibilities to the organization. Wherever the commander is, there also are the colors. The custodian of the colors is the Command Sergeant Major. As a senior enlisted soldier in 593rd Expeditionary Sustainment Command, Command Sergeant Major is the spokesperson for the loyalty and concerns of the soldiers and a principal advisor to the commander. By authority of Army Regulation 600-20, paragraph 2-5 Charlie, the undersigned assumes command of the 593rd Expeditionary Sustainment Command, Joint Base Lewis McChord, effective 24 May 2023, signed Colonel Kevin L. Kottman, Logistics Commanding. Ladies and gentlemen, the Commanding General of America's First Corps and Joint Base Lewis McChord, Lieutenant General Xavier T. Brunson.
Man, there's a bunch of books up here, and I always find it funny if you just grab somebody else's book and start talking. I think when it's time for me to be done being a soldier, I might do that at my last parade. To the soldiers on the field, thank you for what you represent, you and your families, and thank you all for being here. To the salute battery, to the band, thank you. To all you who are in attendance today, distinguished guests, friends of the 593rd, old soldiers, generals, sergeants major, family and friends, and even those who have surprised us here today. On behalf of my Command Sergeant Major Sean Carnes, and myself, we thank all of you. This is the rare, beautiful day here in the Pacific Northwest, and we thank you for being part of this important event. To the soldiers out in the formation, you look magnificent. I'm thankful always for the things that we get to do as an Army, and I think we're at our best when we're on parade. The 593rd Expeditionary Sustainment Command is a unit unlike any other. Our sustainment challenges in the Pacific are more complex than in any other theater. We range from the jungles of Hawaii to the Pacific Northwest to the rugged tundra of Alaska, and we expect the 593rd to get there. This unit has risen to the challenge and provided world-class sustainment in every instance, from here at JBLM to Korea, Japan, Thailand, Indonesia, Singapore, the Philippines, Guam, and Australia. The Corps has called upon the soldiers, NCOs, and officers in the ESC to tackle the hardest problems facing the sustainment enterprise, and under the leadership of Martine Kidd, they have excelled. Over the last 2 years, the accomplishments of the 593rd could be placed in two categories. Those categories are Army changing, which is those things that change the perception of soldiers and what we can do, and Corps enabling, those things that have shaped the way this Corps operates. In Army changing, under the command of BG Kidd, the 593rd deployed to Louisiana for Hurricane Ida support, showing again a different view of our soldiers, that the Army cares. After the end of operations in Afghanistan in 2021, the 593rd was called upon to operate reception centers for refugees in Operation Allies Welcome. They operated APODs at Dulles and Philadelphia and coordinated the onward movement of over 50,000 Afghans. The Army represents the highest ideals of our nation, and it was demonstrated by the 593rd. And if that wasn't enough, that the Army has been changed by this commander and these soldiers, they have also mightily enabled this Corps. 593rd stood up the 53rd Transportation Battalion, which greatly increased our movement capability across the largest AOR, area of responsibility, in the DoD. America's Corps will get there in crisis, in conflict, in competition, and the 593rd showed us the way. The 593rd also provided logistic support to the newly developed Joint Pacific Multinational Readiness Center in Alaska, as well as doing a thing that you wouldn't expect of sustainers. They provided observer controller training to all their assigned personnel, showing yet again that America's First Corps innovates. This ESC is also composed of warriors, whether supporting the stand-up of the 11th Airborne Division or participating fully in America's First Corps' Warfighter 2301, demonstrating for all that America's Corps is prepared to meet the enemies of our nation. These few examples, as demonstrated by this organization, exemplify what the Rest Assured team can do. They're Army changing and Corps enabling. To Martine and Justin, thank you for your leadership. And Martine, those times that you provided me guidance over the past few years. To your sister Marlette and husband Thomas, glad you could make the trip to be here today. But I would be wrong not to tell a Martine Kidd story. This will be a quick one. Imagine this situation: a boardroom in Kentucky, a wary eye always staring me down, fingers on lips in the be quiet sign, and an exhausted "sir." That was my first memory of Martine. I think a thing that I tell my kids is never tell people to shut up. You might say I learned that from Martine. You can just put your finger on your lips, look warily at someone, and say, shh. But I remember my thoughts as we got out of that boardroom was that if I got a chance to work with this professional, I would seek it out. Thank you, M, for being kind enough not to say shut up, but just shh or sir. Good luck to you in Korea, where I know you'll be a phenomenal J4. Know that the lessons that we learn together will continue to advance sustainment operations across the Pacific, and that even though we think of Korea as being separate, you'll still be there driving change, and that you're the leader to help that happen. Thank you. Colonel Kevin Cotman comes to the Corps with a wealth of operational experience, most recently in the office of the Army G4. And you can tell us thank you every day for getting you out of the Pentagon. To your family, your wife Carrie, your sons Isaiah and Dominic, welcome to Joint Base Lewis McChord. You're seeing the best of the Pacific Northwest today. But as my wife has found fond of saying, the bottom will drop out come September. To your parents, Consuela and Clinton Williams, and your sister, Dr. Pamela Baldwin, who my notes say are attending virtually. Dr. Baldwin is here today. To you, Doc, I say, go Broncos. Fayetteville State Broncos, not the Denver Broncos. I'm glad you all could attend today's ceremony. I know you're very proud of Kevin, and I look forward to working with you. I look forward to watching you change the Army and enable this Corps. Thanks again to the entire ESC. God bless America. God bless our Army, this Corps, and the 593rd. Rest assured, courage.
At this time, First Lieutenant Nick Gazarian from the Salute Battery will present a shell casing commemorating the last round fired during today's ceremony to Brigadier General Kidd in honor of the soldiers and families of the 593rd Expeditionary Sustainment Command. Now, ladies and gentlemen, the former Commanding General of the 593rd Expeditionary Sustainment Command, Brigadier General Martin S. Kidd.
Ladies and gentlemen, General Brunson and Kirsten, Sergeant Major Carnes and Teresa, Major General Smith and Lynn, General Ryan, of course, and Lori, and Mrs. Oberworth. Distinguished guests, general officers, command teams, command sergeants, majors from across the Corps, good morning, and thank you so much for being here today. It's hard to believe that 2 years have gone by since taking command of this really magnificent organization. And today is, in fact, a very hard day. As any leader will tell you, to relinquish command is bittersweet. So many memories are packed into these past 2 years. I must begin by thanking the many tremendous soldiers of this great team of teams. But before I do that, allow me to share with you the vision I've had for this command these past 2 years. That vision is really simple, and it goes like this. We solve Corps problems, we do the math, and we learn and adapt. And with that, it seems fitting to share with you some of their math and highlight a few of the accomplishments of the soldiers in the 593rd ESC. The 400 or so troops before you today represent nearly 13% of our total formation. Together, they and their fellow soldiers have participated in or supported more than 30 exercises and operations, to include Pacific Sentry, Defender Pacific, Cobra Gold, Yamasakura, Balakatan, Salakanib, Freedom Shield, Curus Strike, and the Arctic Experimentation, among others. As we speak, we are finalizing our preparation for one of the largest Talisman Sabre exercises in recent years, occurring a little bit later on this summer. 593rd has also enabled or supported multiple war games and training events, to include USERPAC's Unified Pacific War Game Series, the Navy's Global 14, 4 JPMRCs, 4 NTC rotations, and 5 different Guardian Response training events, in addition to a first-of-kind warfighter in Warfighter 23-1. 593rd soldiers have executed operational missions to include the oversight and reception process here in the U.S. for the evacuation of the Afghan refugees, as mentioned by General Brunson, as well as providing that logistics C2 element for Hurricane Ida, and sending more than 7 companies, detachments, and teams on deployments to CENTCOM in support of CJTF OIR in Kuwait and Iraq. We've also sent 2 companies or detachments to EUCOM, where still today the 63rd Ordnance Company is in direct support of EUCOM's response to the Ukraine conflict. We've provided 15 leaders of all grades on YAS taskings in support of global requirements, and provided support to our surrounding communities through our combined response to COVID-19, with hundreds of troops from the 62nd Med deploying across the U.S. as part of the Urban Augmentation Medical Task Forces, and sending providers to Alaska to support 11th Airborne's Mission 100. The leaders and soldiers on this field have also worked tirelessly to improve readiness, increase collective training, and their proficiency in their individual and collective training skills. They've completed 430 transportation movement requests, driving more than 1.1 million miles, prepared and served more than 1.1 million meals in support of our warrior restaurants and in the field support of the Corps' separate brigades. We've pumped more than 1.3 million gallons of gas, delivered 9,500 COVID-19 inoculations, completed more than 36,000 maintenance work orders, and seen more than 100,000 patients in our clinics and military treatment facilities. We've also sent more than 250 soldiers to school, executed 2 ESC-wide maintenance symposiums, 2 training symposiums, and 2 senior NCO symposiums, designed to raise the proficiency of our young leaders who carry so much weight on their shoulders every day. We've done all this as we pave the way for a new generation of leaders to shape their experiences and hone their skills in preparation for promotions and assumption of ever-increasing responsibilities. While all of this was going on, we wanted to ensure they knew they were supported as they grew and learned. These past 2 years, the 593rd team has worked hard to strengthen our resiliency and self-discipline of our soldiers as well. Providing an inclusive environment, we have really taken to heart the Sergeant Major of the Army's approach to ownership through the lens of, "This is my squad." No doubt, I'm incredibly proud to have been part of this team at a time often referred to by both the Corps commander and the USERPAC commander as the most consequential period in recent history, as they've worked tirelessly to strengthen our presence and our posture across the Indo-Pacific. Now I'm about to wrap this up, but just a few more thank yous. Throughout it all, I've been surrounded by the very best staff and command teams. All of those accomplishments are a reflection of great colonels like Jason Affolter, who could not have been a more perfect deputy commander. Jim Gallagher, who really is the hardest working guy in the ESC and the very best support ops officer with whom I have served. Two tremendous G3s in Eric Dennis and Mark Parsons, who were unsung heroes, managing the engine of the team while juggling the complexity of both plans, exercises, and operations. And of course, we've had a tremendous chief of staff, Riz Salvador, who was right from the start my fighting chief, right alongside me at Defender Pacific. Of course, no commander's complete without their command sergeant major, and Sergeant Major Scarborough is absolutely a superstar. He was everywhere I couldn't be, extending the influence of the command and seeing what I did not see and helping me cover up or shore up those shortcomings. The battalion commanders and their sergeant majors have been simply magnificent. Lieutenant Colonels Fowler, Cornett, Buckner, Acuna, Miller, and Handley, as well as Colonels So, Jacques, Summons, and Heath. And lastly, to my personal staff, Lieutenant Smith, Major Brenner, and Major Zare. You've made a tough job look easy, and I'm grateful to each of you for all your dedication and hard work. Together, these 593rd leaders have driven improvements in every metric, increasing our readiness, training, and soldier and leader development. They've also revitalized our leader professional development, upgunned our onboarding process, and increased our active engagement with soldiers as they depart our formations. We've partnered with our local communities to enable recruiting, met or exceeded our retention goals as we demonstrated care for our nation's greatest resource, her sons and daughters. It's been a busy 2 years, and it really seems a blur, gone in a blink of an eye. More importantly, as our Army song tells us, the Army keeps rolling along, and today the 593rd will have a new commander and command team in Colonel Kevin Kottman and his wife, Carrie. Coming to us from our nation's capital, having served most recently in the Army G8 and the Army G4, having reached escape velocity from the Pentagon, he has an incredible pedigree and a very diverse background and a tremendous set of skills. I know he sounds like Liam Neeson, doesn't he? And I know he's going to continue the momentum and take the team even further. Congratulations, Kevin. You're going to love this command and these wonderful soldiers. I envy you in so many ways. Finally, to Justin. One more math problem. I've been gone 600 of the 737 days. But not really, but it seems like probably close to about 7 months combined on the road in TDY. And when I got home at night, you were always there, always ready with a warm meal and a cold beverage and an ear and a pat on the back or a gentle nudge. Couldn't do it without you, baby. Thanks for being my rock in every way. I love you. Thanks again, everyone. Appreciate you being here. Courage, rest assured.
Ladies and gentlemen, the commander of the 593rd Expeditionary Sustainment Command, Colonel Kevin L. Kottman.
Nice long walk from my seat, but ladies and gentlemen, good morning. It's truly a special day, the weather we have here, and then always a special day when you see soldiers lined up on the field looking their best. And just like thank the band and the salute battery, you made this day even more special. So up front, I must give thanks to God because all blessings flow through him. And I truly see the opportunity of command as a true blessing. Lieutenant General and Ms. Brunson, Major General Ms. Smith, Command Sergeant Major Carnes, distinguished guests, community leaders, family and friends of the 593rd ESC. Carrie and I thank you for taking some time out of your busy schedule to attend today's ceremony. I believe there are many leaders that are online also and friends. I also want to thank them for attending virtually. My parents, as mentioned, are attending virtually. In my script, I said that my sister was attending virtually, but she surprised me this morning and showed up for the actual ceremony. So I just want to thank her for attending and spending this special day with us. But along with that, I want to say here publicly that my parents and my family, they're the absolute example of what a caring and great support system looks like for an Army family. And my sister showing up and surprising us is just a great example of what they do for us all the time. I'm also positive my father and my older brother are looking down from heaven today and smiling from ear to ear as they watch this ceremony. My father served on active duty in the reserves for 30 years, so I know his smile is especially wide as he's looking down from the heavens. It's not lost on me that days like today do not happen without great leaders who take time to mentor and provide you guidance. I was very fortunate to have great leaders throughout my career, like General Flynn, General Hamilton, Major General Russell, Major General Hoyle, Command Sergeant Major Sellers, and retired Command Sergeant Major Summers, just to name a few, who made that time for me. I just want to say thank you to them at this ceremony. To the Army senior leaders and Lieutenant General Brunson, thank you for entrusting me with this tremendous responsibility to lead the soldiers of America's First Corps. Carrie and I are extremely excited to serve the soldiers and families. I'm personally honored and humbled for this privilege, and it is a privilege to lead this high-performing team with its critical mission in support of the Indo-Pacific region. I do not and will not take this responsibility of leading the sons and daughters of our great nation lightly. I pledge to the 593rd team that I will give you 110% every day because you absolutely deserve it. Working as a team, I look forward to navigating the opportunities that lie ahead of us. To General Kidd and Justin, thank you for truly making this a seamless transition and setting our foundation for success. Rest assured that we will continue to maintain the momentum that you established. Ma'am, Carrie and I wish you and Justin all the best as you transition to Korea. To my family, Carrie, Dominic, and Isaiah, thank you for your endless love, sacrifice, and support. Your love, without a doubt, is the fuel that keeps me going each day. I love you. Lastly, to the 593rd team, I'm excited about the road ahead of us. From what I've already seen during this exceptional transition, there is no doubt in my mind that we'll be able to execute any mission professionally, above the standard, and most importantly, as a team. Thank you. Courage, rest assured.
Detachment, attention! Sound attention! Detachment, hold! March!
Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for the singing of the First Corps March and the Army Song. The words can be found in your program.
this concludes today's ceremony. Rest assured.
Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes today's ceremony. Thank you for attending. Please join us in welcoming Colonel Cotman and his family at the reception located here on JBLM at the Main Post Chapel Annex on the second floor. Brigadier General Kidd and Dr. Kidd will remain behind to say a final farewell to the soldiers, families, and friends of the Joint Base Lewis McChord community. Rest assured.
Commanders, take charge of your formation.